your bank to see
so
whether...
if the central bank goes ahead with this, there'll be no need for you to bring...
Yeah, if we get this right...
all other kinds of identification.
Fantastic.
If you want to open an account.
Fantastic.
And that brings us to the issue of financial inclusion.
Yep.
You know, trying to reach out to those people out there in the villages and the remote areas of the country to ensure that they are part of this initiative.
So financial inclusion is one major area that will benefit from this process. Many more people will be able to have a banking, account and be able to transact, through the financial system. And that's very, very important for the Nigerian financial system at this point. But again, you worry about illiteracy. The issues around these things are sometimes, macroeconomic issues. If the level of illiteracy is high in this country, then the level of fear of e-transactions will also be very, very high. Already, many people, even those who are ordinarily educated, elites, high-tech, modern-day people, are afraid to use their POS. They're afraid to use their ATM for several reasons. Maybe because, it fails them at critical times, or maybe because they feel like, it can easily be compromised. People have said, I'm somewhere in a VI doing something, or maybe I traveled, I'm in America, and then before I know it, I start getting alert in my phone. Somebody somewhere shopping with my card. And you wonder, why is that happening? So all that scares people away from using this product. But then we're getting it better and better. The security infrastructure is getting better. But yet the fear, when people are afraid of something, their mind is made up that they cannot use that product. You need to do a lot of work to get them to use it. So the issue of trust, the issue of reliability and availability and security are very important in handling these projects.
And that also brings us to the ICT. That's the technology that was actually deployed in this. Yeah. And we've seen the cashless policy when it was rolled out then. There were hiccups as well as to how successful it's going to be. Now, if you look at this verification exercise that is being started by the central bank right now, do you think that we've been able to address the lapses recorded during the cashless policy in terms of infrastructure, in terms of technology, to be able to drive it and ensure that we record this success?
You and I know that when it comes to infrastructure, we are not yet where we should be. Whether you're talking about IT infrastructure or the power infrastructure that will carry, these other infrastructure, we haven't got it right. Many ATMs in this country are not operational. Most times because the banks have to, power their generator also to be able to keep these things running. Many cell sites, the telecommunications people that provide the connectivity and all of that sustain these services, they are still not able to power their system on all the time. So infrastructure is a major problem. We haven't got it right at that point. Then the robust ICT infrastructure or connectivity system that's meant to make sure that these things are available and reliable are still not there. I have gone to very big shops. I don't want to call names here. Very big, wonderful shops where you would assume that once you go there with your ATM card, you can shop. Maybe, and those could be times I didn't have cash, I'm cash strapped, I needed to shop, but I asked, can I use my card here? And they say, unfortunately, no. And I say, those shops in VI, if they cannot offer me the opportunity to pay with my ATM card, maybe using their POS, is it in Damatru or is it in Adokiti? Well, these are even major cities. In some rural areas, is it there that I can go and shop my card? So that brings up about the issue of biometric identification. The concept of that is that NIC-COMSAT is meant to provide internet facility around the whole 774 local government in this country to sustain this BVN system.
How far has it gone?
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to let you know that that's a major part of this project. You ask yourself, how many local governments out of the 774 we have today, they can go there and have a reliable internet service to do anything, including to verify your transaction using this biometric, because the biometric data is a very large data system. To capture people's faces, their fingerprints and all that, in a system that will be shared amongst all the banks for all the people in this country, it's not a small project. Even though I understand that the cost will be shared by the banks together. There will be a central connectivity system provided by maybe NIBSS, the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, who will provide that, and then the cost of running the project will be, provided to banks, and then they will share it. Just like the telecoms industry, they have what they call co-location to find a way to reduce costs. That's the kind of thing you will see here. But even at that cost is still going to be huge. And then, of course, CBN is saying that cost must not be passed down to customers. So banks will have to bear it. And again, you wonder, at the stage we are in the life of the banks in this country, do they have the capacity to take more cost on them? Already, a lot of revenues sources are being trimmed down for banks. Margins are turning out. COT is going. Some charges that they used to get through ATM, they are all going. And then they have a big challenge making enough interest margin in the loans that they give. Because now the cash reserve ratio is so high that, and of course, mixed with other requirements, they have, less money to trade with. And then in the midst of that, of course, you will see in the next 1 or 2 years, banks that used to be very profitable before now will start having challenges throwing out reasonable profit figures.
Okay.
And then they have to add the cost of this project, into all of their, bottom line calculations.
Still talking about the cost, passing the cost to the customers. I just wonder, because when we had the cashless policy, the pilot phase, when we started the cashless policy, then we remember then that there were charges by banks. Now, my question is it possible not to pass these costs to bank customers, at least in the first phase or at the early stage of this project? Is it possible that the banks would bear the costs?
But Balaji, whether it is possible or not, the regulator has said you won't pass the cost. It's a law. It's a mandate, it's an instruction. So you just have to behave. And we believe that the regulatory bodies are acting in the best interest of the nation. So when the central bank says this cost must not be passed, it must not be passed. So the banks will have to look at how to build that into their own cost-benefit analysis and see whether they have enough incentive to join the program now or to join later. And of course, even if they choose to join later, but they're mandated to join right now, they have to join. So what we're saying is that CBN must have the strength, the power to execute and implement this. But I'm saying, can we effectively execute this, on the back of the problems we're having already with the cashless policy, with the mobile money? By now, we thought that people can use their mobile phone to send money to their parents in the villages using the mobile money system. So much noise was made about it. So much plans have, and those plans are awesome. They are fantastic.
Okay.
But at this point where we are, we haven't been able to fully implement it. Here again, government has said, in 18 months, we want to see these BVN numbers being given out to customers. Any single customer in this country should be identified with his biometric details, whether he's working into Zenith Bank or into a Guaranty Trust Bank or Access Bank or First Bank, that we must be able to identify you, using your, biometric details. All right? 18 months for me is a joke. You can note it down in 18, even though I know that these deadlines are put there to guide actions and activities to make sure we start making progress. But I know clearly that must be moved forward.
All
because before you go, let me remind you, some time ago, CBN said customers must provide their updated information to all the banks. They call it customer information update. More than 5 years ago, till today, many banks have not achieved 50% of that physical paper customer information update till today. That's the one anybody, whether you're illiterate or not, can easily do. Now, those who are afraid of, electronic systems, who will not see this as a way for banks to tap in, people are afraid. When you tell them, use your ATM, so you want to steal my money, you don't want me to. So that fear is there.
Okay.
We need to address that. Maybe when we come back, we'll look at security issues, the challenges we have, and how can we get them addressed.
Okay.
Information awareness, is very critical here.
All right, thank you. More information after the break. We'll get to more information when we go on a break. When we'll be talking to Orji Udemezue. He's a financial and management consultant, and we have been looking at the bank verification number exercise that is kick-starting in Lagos today.